Christians work in the alcoholic industry?
Oh, wow.
Who inspired Q? We need to know who inspired
Wow.
Q.
Yeah, this is why Q never gives us the questions
Yeah,
beforehand.
Because none of us would show up.
I know. That's true.
Actually, I would have showed up for some reason.
Ask that question again.
Should
What?
Christians work in the alcoholic industry?
Should Christians work as what?
Like,
So, for example,
As
I
a
would
gate
really
man.
advocate for Christians to be like bartenders
all right.
or bodyguard. What am I saying?
What?
Bodyguards,
Wait.
girls,
Whoa.
bodyguards
Bouncers.
in a club. Just
Bouncers.
yes, that's what.
It's okay. It's fine. I'm
Right.
here to help you.
Bouncers, or even like. Yeah, there's specific places that I would advocate because I feel like it could be a space for evangelism and you could reach so many people. But in the production of alcohol, man, I don't know.
So I'm thinking of a bartender, all right?
Yeah.
A connoisseur of fine drinks.
This is nothing. You're just talking about wines and spirits. Nothing like a connoisseur of fine drinks.
So I'm thinking, for instance, in Pack C, right? You want a cocktail.
In what?
In what?
Pack, okay.
What's
In a
Pack C?
club, all right? For instance, I am a bartender. Someone approaches me and tells me they want a cocktail. So I should stop and be like, alcohol is bad. So do you know what the Bible says about having a Negroni? No, you should not have a Negroni. In fact, here's a virgin mojito for you.
No, it's a space. I mean, it's a space for evangelism in the sense that you could have conversations with people, like Eric was saying. Like some people are more susceptible to listening when they feel like they're not being judged or whatever. I guess so. That could be a space where Christians could make impact, or even like sometimes stop people who are drinking too much, or help people get home. Like there's things that Christians. There's a light that Christians can bring in certain spaces.
Yeah, they can.
But I'm yet to see a bartender who actually doesn't drink. Let's just start from there.
I have a bit of a contrary opinion. I think, can I share first of all a personal conviction and a principle I have, and then build on what I'm saying?
And then throw in a Bible verse.
And then I throw in a Bible verse, okay.
Then you collect offering. Okay.
This is a conviction I usually have. That line is constantly moving. Today it's moving towards the side, tomorrow we're moving it. Sometimes when we don't have clear defined lines, we skip through a minefield. That's what I tell myself every time. Unless I draw a straight line and say no to this and yes to this, I start skipping through a minefield. If I don't say, if I allow that line to keep on moving, you know what I'm doing? I'm actually shifting like goalposts and stuff. So for me, if you were to ask me, should Christians work in a club? I'd say no. Straight on no. The reason I'm saying no is because three things will bring the downfall of someone. Number one, the people you work with. They say when you see three, if you have three friends who are fools, you should count again, there are four. Because most of the time, the people who you work with, actually
A reflection of you.
are a reflection of you. They will influence
Did you just
you.
realize you're a fool or something?
He's number 4. He's like, no.
It's true. And then number two, the environment you constantly put yourself in. We can't lie to ourselves that the environment we go to will not affect us.
Yeah.
If you are a Christian and you're working in a club, the impact you're going to have is very minimal as compared to the impact the club will have on you. Especially if you're working there, I know there are demands that will be placed on you. So for me, I'd say no. And then number three is what you think about yourself. Sometimes we lie to ourselves and convince ourselves that sometimes you actually... Have you ever noticed you can tell yourself a lie and believe it, and someone else tells you the same lie, you go like, bro, you don't care for me. Why would you tell me such a lie? But if you tell yourself the same lie, you'll believe it. So I believe, and personally, I think I would draw a very straight line. Should Christians work? Maybe, and I'm not saying even the alcohol industry, I'm saying like in a club. No.
I
Brenda is
fundamentally
vexed.
disagree because I feel like if you leave certain spaces just for the enemy, like I feel like there's a place for Christians to bring light in specific places where there's so much darkness. In the sense that's the same argument people have for politicians or like ministers of God or like pastors should never be politicians because politicians are corrupt and it will what you're saying that the environment will ruin them or it will impact them more than they will impact the environment. But I think there's if the Lord has called you for that specific place, I don't mean send yourself, by the way. I actually don't mean like you suddenly wake up and decide you're going to go to a club. I think it should be an assignment. But then I think there's specific places where Christians can go and bring, even if, no matter how small the light is, because don't underestimate just what the Holy Spirit can do with one person. I feel like there's a space for Christians to enter spaces that are filled with darkness and bring light to those spaces.
And I think that's our mandate as Christians. We ought to go into places of darkness and bring the light. But then also, how and why is very important. How we get into these places and why we're in these places is more important.
I agree.
If my why is I'm very passionate about not starving, so that as I work as a bartender, so that you see that it's shifting goalposts. Sometimes when you draw a definite line, you can be able to find a quick answer. And I agree with you. A pastor friend of mine here in this city, Nairobi, once went to a club in Langata in the middle of the night to rescue a young man who he's been discipling. And this young man, I don't like your facial expression. He went to a club to rescue someone. And I was like, that was him actually going into a place of darkness. But you see, he didn't go back the next night and the next night or go like, this is where my guys go. So no. But in those moments, I think he went into that place to rescue that. He was saying like he was so scared he had to go with a black hoodie and he had to get there. And that guy was not willing to get out of the club, so he sat with them inside. So I think there's a difference between actually going into the dark places and kind of like working in it, I think.
So
it reaches a point. There are saved Christians who, those who are their previous environments, those who are there.
They're unsaved Christians.
No,
I
they're
said saved.
I'm asking.
Oh, did you say unsaved Christians?
Yeah, they're unsaved Christians.
Okay.
Like
He actually makes sense, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jesus, are you fighting me on the first one? Jeez. So they're saved Christians who.
I'm with you, Q.
Yeah.
That's where they were gotten from.
Yeah.
That is the environment that they are used to. That was their old haunts. And due to their experiences and them being able to find the Lord there, I feel like those are the kind of people, or the special set of people who can be able to go back into that dark space and speak the language, since they know what would make somebody reach a certain level of accepting Christ. Yeah. So I feel like when to say Christians, no Christians should work in a club environment or the drinking industry, it kind of cuts off what testimonies can bring within clubs, because some conversations that are happening, I swear to God, some conversations that have happened, and I've been there. I'm not ashamed. I'm a club person. I've been there. It's some conversations.
You continually are, or you used to be?
I won't say both. No.
Don't correct him.
No.
Let him cook.
I don't go there. What do I mean?
You're fine.
I don't search for it.
You're
I
making
don't
your
search
point.
for
Just
it.
find
But if
yourself
the
there.
question comes up, I do. I don't search for it. It's not something I search for or want. Anyway, I don't search for it. If the occasion happens, I do go. But some of the conversations that have happened within clubs, the testimonies that somebody can get, most people who are drinking are at a very low place. And other than just letting them stay in that place, it can come up, usually in clubs, it can come up in casual conversations. Then the amount of conversations that can happen in clubs and in that kind of situation are many. And people are more susceptible to hopeful messages like, dude, how about we do this? How about you just, after this, it didn't even matter how you smell, Nini, let's just go to church. I'm like, hangover, we'll just look for water, get a pin pop so that your breath doesn't smell, let's go to church. Let's see how that works for you. Or just usually like, oh, let me refer you to someone who can help you in this situation. Because at that point, you are the light within that kind of environment. And since you are a testimony, you have been there, you have transversed through that environment, you know the pitfalls, you know what can get someone out, it's not a scary environment for you, because that's an environment you've traversed easily before. You've seen the darkest of dark, you have seen the lightest of light. it can really help, especially when you talk about where you've come from, because there are some dark stories that can happen in there. And once you tell them you have been lower than where they have been and still come out, it's a very helpful thing. It's a very hopeful situation.
Can I ask, so how does that change only happen in one way? That is, I have to work in a club to help to do that.
No.
Yeah.
No. I feel that's where God tells you. But if God tells you, it's okay.
I think I agree with what you said on the why it really matters. Because even for me, I feel very uncomfortable with the thought of someone making money. Like your sole intent there is to make bread, like to make money. You're living off of that lifestyle. But then if you're there specifically for evangelism,
purpose,
that's the reason why
That's
you're
the
working in
reason.
that club,
I
then
agree.
that's what I'm saying.
Nobody's in that
I
club
have a
like
question.
especially for
Give Brenda
evangelism.
the mic. I have a
Okay, sorry.
question for Brenda. So Brenda,
Yes.
I say I'm an investor, a billionaire. Okay, billionaire is a lot. A millionaire investor. I come Nairobi, somewhere I set up a wines and spirits. I say I'm gonna give you 100,000 every month to work there. Would you take that offer?
Yeah, I would, but I know. Okay, so
Just move the mic
first
a
of
bit
all,
I don't
Okay.
think we
so
heard
I'd-
what you said, Q.
Oh, so I asked Brenda, I'm an investor. I put up wines and spirits. I tell her that I'm going to be paying her 100,000 every month to work there. Now, I've asked her, would she take the offer?
Yeah, I would in a heartbeat. Because I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a Christian, but we are being encouraged to also like whatever in the marketplace, My sole purpose for taking the job will not be for me to show people that I'm a drunkard. I'm purely I'm there to make a living out of it, right? And first of all, I wouldn't accept 100 G's. That's
Okay.
kidogo money. They're paid
300.
more than that. Yeah, they are 300 onwards. Because do you know
Your
how
why
much
is
wines and
stronger.
spirits make? Like the turnover. Like honestly, guys, I was thinking of starting one. To be very honest, like the turnover is just insane. It's just that you have to deal with cops and all that. Like behind the scenes is just another whole story. But yes, I would actually accept the job.
So, Bato, how would you respond to that? And
I
even
don't know.
Naseka. Yeah.
I don't know. So let's say, just throw it a bit out
Yeah,
of
throw
out of
me in the
proportion.
deep end, in the
Yeah.
ocean.
So this mom comes and tells you, my son keeps on buying alcohol here. He's stealing my money. He's not showing home. He's not going to class. But this is the spot where he brings all the money he steals from me.
Yeah.
Could you do something about it?
Yeah, I would do something about it. I wouldn't. Okay. Obviously, if I think of it in a deeper way, because I'm not even sure how my employer makes his money for him to invest in. So a parent comes, tells me that the whole situation had actually help, but that doesn't mean that I'll shut down the wines and
Let me
spirits
come to
because one
Brenda's
person
help.
is.
I usually don't like taking sides, but let me come to. So, answering what
You're always
Aseka-
taking sides. What are you on about?
I'm a neutral. I'm like Switzerland.
Yeah, right.
It's a line.
So where I'd fight that thought of thinking is because if the son is stealing and becoming an alcoholic, is it because of the wines and spirits, or is it because of what he's chosen in life?
Now that's
So
my
that's
point
what I'd
as well.
ask, yeah.
Now I was asking that question so that we point to the real vice. You are not the vice. Okay,
it's okay for me to
me
take the
continue
job.
first because I'm not entirely picking her side, but I just wanted to point there's a real issue which is not the wines and spirit. It's not the mom. It's not you who's working there, but there's a real problem, which is the alcohol, which is causing this behavioral change.
So is it
But
okay
let's
for
be
her
honest.
to?
Let's think of a workplace that does not have vices. To be very, like in this day and
My
age,
workplace doesn't
even
have
the
vices.
church, even this church has vices.
Where do you
Which
work,
Be
one?
Bato?
careful, be careful. Now this is sponsored.
But it's okay.
Put a microphone.
Okay.
Just speak. Whether it's raw and fearless.
It is raw and fearless, right? And there's this meme I saw right? That the church is a hospital, all right? The church is a hospital. So don't go, okay, it's in a different context, but the church is a hospital. So don't go thinking that all the men in church are fit for marriage. Some patients are refusing to respond to treatment. You know?
Like Eric, the medication has not been working.
So, guys, I don't know.
I think
Your
I would
employer is
say
good.
my response to like Brenda would be like, if we were having a conversation, I would really question the motive, because even as we said in the beginning, context really matters.
But this is the thing. The motive for Brenda is
to make money.
Yes.
Yes, and that's my point. I'm saying I would really question that motive, because in the sense that the context that we're living in, alcohol has done so much damage and keeps doing so much damage in our society, in the young men and women today. And we've seen families broken and things like that. I'm like, there's so many things you could do.
Yeah, but we've also seen deals being brokered through a glass of wine or some good whiskey. So I mean, it's not all bad. Okay, I have seen big deals being brokered.
Are those the exceptions or are those the rule?
No, it's not. It's
Yeah, that's a good one. Is it an exception or is it a rule?
I think it can be both. It just comes down to the individual who's drinking the alcohol.
So what's your
'Cause-
responsibility as the believer to that one who makes bad choices with alcohol?
I don't
What's
know.
your responsibility?
Would you sell alcohol to a believer if he came to a wines and spirits? Now that you're a
I
believer,
would.
Would
Why,
you sell?
why wouldn't
Bato,
I
you
mean?
wouldn't sell? I'm confused about Bato's standpoint.
What?
You would sell or you wouldn't sell?
would you work in the wines and spirits?
Would I work there
Yes.
for money? No.
No, would you work
For
there?
evangel. Okay, she's no.
I would. The only reason I would work in a place that sells alcohol would be if I'm going there to evangelize.
So technically, what would be your job
So
description?
you'd evangelize to every single person that comes there.
And not sell alcohol.
I would evangelize as the spirit leads.
You know, that's such a Christianese answer.
43%.
That's such a Christianese
Not
answer.
the role of spirits on the shelf.
No, but to give us a practical...
Like, I'm actually genuinely
You'd
being very
answer my
serious.
question. You'd evangelize to every single person who comes
I would
there.
definitely try to.
And would you, sell alcohol to every single person who comes to buy?
Is that my job description? Like, to be honest, like,
Your job description is literally to sell alcohol. So would you do it?
I would sell the alcohol, but my sole intent there
Why is your
to,
voice going?
my sole purpose there would be to genuinely for evangelism. Like, it's less the, I don't know if I'm making sense.
No.
It's less the selling of the alcohol and more like the fact that I want to lead these people to the Lord.
So would you sell alcohol to everyone?
Yeah, that's my job.
So it's okay.
So
No,
is it okay?
I'm saying I would question the motive of a believer who is solely there to make a living.
Okay. So Christians can actually work in, I don't, okay. I'm thinking about the alcohol, let's call it the alcohol industry, right? It goes deeper than wines and spirits. It goes back to someone who actually studied, what is it called? The art of making rum. There's a name for it. There's a name for it.
Ramology.
It is not
Ramification.
There's a name. There's also a name for. Okay, let's just be practical. Let's think about the farmer, okay, who grows grapes, that make wine, right? Yeah, or in South Africa. He's a Christian. He knows that he's planting these grapes for them to be made into wine. Should he really care about what the wine is going to be used for? He'll be like, guy, maybe this wine will go land on Eric's table. He'll drink too much and get drunk. Oh my God, poor Christian boy. What will we do about that? He's not thinking about that. At the end of the day, he's like, I love no, it's a family thing. I'm inheriting it. I have to keep the Marlowe in the family.
Do you think they should think about that if they are Christian?
Hey, how many alcohol brands Brenda has
No.
mentioned since the beginning?
I don't even know anything.
But it's very
I'm thinking
interesting
there are
because I
types
was
of
like,
colors.
The Negroni is a cocktail. A Virgin Mojito is a mocktail. A Marlot is a type
Answer
of a
King's
wine.
question.
There's Sauvignon Blanc. There's a lot. But they should probably think about it. But realistic, they don't think about like who's
So
going
if
to
you
drink
were
this.
in that position, would you think about it?
First of all, I'd be so glad if I owned a vineyard. I'm like, oh my god, okay. But at the I really, honestly speaking, I don't think I'd think about it. I wouldn't think about it. I wouldn't honestly, and this will sound bad, I wouldn't care if someone comes and buys the wine and gets drunk or falls down or does whatever. At the end of the day, is they've actually bought it and they like it. So
Do Christians have a responsibility for each other or the society as a whole?
we do have a responsibility towards each other. But since this is fearless and raw,
Don't be politically
and-
correct.
raw and fearless.
Tell us what you actually think.
I honestly think I don't know. I'd worry about my inner circle, but anyone else who's just out there wouldn't.
Set yourself.
My friend, nonchalant all the way. Yeah.
What do you think about that, Batu? You look vexed.
I have a lot of thoughts about it, but I think it's reckless for a believer to not care about the society, because like that person who's a drunk and beating up on their wives or their children or wrecking their homes is someone the Lord died for. And if there's anything we can do to mitigate whatever they're doing in their
triggered Eric.
spaces.
Now I'm like, alcohol traumatized.
No, but it's just because I've seen the ills that alcohol has done in our society. Where if we were literally just doing a research at work and talked specifically for the central region, where majority of the men are, what is it called when someone becomes useless? Because they're not really able to function in any way, in any capacity, just because of alcohol. And that's why the women, it's a matriarchal society because the men can't function, and it's passed down generations. Like if someone grows up in a household without a father, without an active father, and then you see what that does to a society, it's terrible. We're literally destroying generations to come. So I think every believer has a responsibility to care, not just what they do or not just what can make them money for the here and now. You also have to be thinking about the effects that this thing will have in eternity. So I just think it's reckless if you're doing anything and don't think about the lasting consequences of what you're doing.